Hello and welcome back to Here We Tow. A rather different setting to the start of the video because Jules and I are actually on a P&O ferry, the Pride of Hull, and we're about to depart at Rotterdam. This is the start of our European trip. So we're going to be putting out a sequence of videos where we're basically going to be heading up through Germany, Denmark, and then spending quite a bit of time in Sweden in our motorhome. So if you're interested in that content, obviously do stick with us. In this one, we are going to be disembarking the ferry. So you'll see the Hull to Rotterdam disembarkation, which will hopefully be an orderly process. And from there, we've actually got quite a long drive today. We're ploughing on. So we're heading up to the northwest part of Germany, to the coast. We're going to a place called St Peter-Ording, and I've got a campsite booked there called Campingplatz Biehl, and that is where we're going to be staying for 3 nights. This campsite has cost me €50 a night. I've pre-booked my pitch. I've got a 9-metre pitch, so not a bad size. So what we'll do is we'll start the video with obviously travelling up to Germany, only a little bit because we don't want boring to tears. I've got the journey to enjoy, and then have a look at this campsite and this coastal area. I've picked it because it looks really nice, a good place to break up this journey. And I've never been to the German coast. I know a lot of my European watchers will go quite a lot of the time, and obviously you can put some suggestions in the comments of other places to try. So yeah, once I'm allowed, I'll be heading down to the motorhome, firing it up, and we'll get on the road. We have arrived at Camping Biehl at St Peter. The part we're in is called Ording. Talk about that in a minute. Oh, we've had a long drive. It's been a long day. So we got off the ferry and that was fine. Got a little bit lost trying to get off the ferry only because I was following somebody else. Never do that. Just stick to plan A. Anyway, got off there, came through Holland, not a problem, up towards Germany. And as we crossed the border at Germany, they seemed to sort of diverted the traffic into this area and they were doing lots of stop checks. Thankfully, we didn't get stopped. They probably just looked at me and thought, God, she's not average, just wave her through. So we didn't have to stop, but it did delay us quite a bit because it had really slowed traffic down. The journey that should have taken about 6 hours took 8 hours. And we had about a 20-minute stop, so 8 hours 20. I'm pretty tired, but we're here. So we stopped as well on the way. We've been to Aldi. So at St Peter, the town, there's a couple of supermarkets. The Aldi that we went to, there's a Lidl, and there's also at Aldi a slightly more upmarket supermarket, a large German chain. So if you've got a bit more cash, go to the posh one. But no problem for parking with the motorhome. So we have stocked up, thank goodness. And then we've arrived at the campsite at Ording. This is right on a beach. The beach is literally just over the sand dune there. We'll go see that tomorrow. Reception, you've got here before 6 p.m. Thankfully, we've just nailed that. The lady, I tried my best German and she spoke English and, well, I gave up at that point. But we got here, checked in, no problem on the check-in. It's interesting because it's cost €50 a night, which is a lot for me. That's top end, as you'll know. Pitch with electric, hard standing. I'd pre-booked my pitch. We're on pitch 44, just in case you're wondering. Yeah, we were surprised because you've got to pay extra if you want a shower, €1.50 per shower. The shower block is actually just here. So what we've done is we've driven in, I'll just bring you around here so you can see it. We've just driven in through the security barriers over here. You get a card for that. So we've come in, and then our pitch is literally here and the facilities are there, men's and women's. Round the corner over there is the motorhome service point. Now, if you're from Yorkshire, you're not going to be very excited about this, because as well as paying for your showers at €50, you've also got to pay for water for your motorhome if you want to use their hose pipe. So it's €1 at the motorhome service point, or free if you get your own hose out and attach it to a random tap, which is what we did. So there is a fresh water tap. So we've put our hose pipe on there and filled up for nothing. But if you want to use their machine and the hose pipe, it's an additional €1. There's also a dump grate there. The chemical disposal's part of this block here. The women's is at the front and the men's is at the back. And there are fresh water taps here. So if you're coming in a caravan or you just need some fresh water, it's just here as well. You also get a pass, so if you want to go on the beach, you need to use the pass, but we'll find out more about that tomorrow, because right now I'm going to bed. I'm not going anywhere near the beach. 8 hours, I'm exhausted. So yeah, reception area. There's also a fish and chip shop on site. I'm not so sure it's the fish and chips we're going to be used to at home, but I'm going to check that out. And there's a coffee shop at the top end, at the top corner building line, coffee shop with cakes. I'll try that in the morning for us. Always one to test things out. So yeah, but if you look at the site, I mean, this is a big campsite. Obviously it's filled with European visitors. I think it's going to get much busier for the weekend. Today's Thursday evening, and we can see how it is at the moment, but it's a big site. So that's it from me. I've got a fridge full. I'm going to go to bed. I'll catch you in the morning and we'll go and do some exploring of St Peter. Good morning. We feel a little bit better now after yesterday's very long day, which was obviously made a lot longer with these border stops and stuff. So yes, last night what Jules and I did was we fired to the fish and chip shop on site, just got some chips. We're a bit beyond eating too much food, so we've got some chips, but you can sit in, there's a restaurant there, they do all sorts of food, not just fish and chips. So that was good. We had a good sleep, absolutely quiet here, nice and dark. It was cold last night though. I was nicely wrapped up in my duvet, like I looked like a sausage roll, I was well away. But at 1:30 this morning, oh my God, the hailstorm from hell arrived. The rain, the hail, it was probably a good 10 minutes, it battered us. Anyway, we survived it. Got up this morning and we've been to the on-site sort of bakery and coffee shop. If you just go back out of the gate where we drove in, up there, there's does croissants and cakes and coffees. So we've got that this morning and we're ready to fire out and explore. What I have learned from actually having a little bit of time to decompress and read is that when we arrive, we've got these cards. If I just show you those, that side, and then on that side, it's got barcodes on. If you come to St Peter-Ording, basically you pay a spa tax, a guest tax per day. It's €4 each, and it covers sort of covering the infrastructure around this area, like the promenades, the lifeguards, keeping the beaches clean. So you pay that, you get this card. So if you want to go down onto the beach, that covers you. There's also apparently a bus service. Again, the information's sort of linked with this, you can find out yourself. And the bus, it covers you to use the bus as well, and you can travel around this area on the shuttle, and there's a stop apparently right outside this gate, so that's good. Now this morning we've decided to walk. We're going to walk out of the site, turn immediately right, there's a little roundabout, and from there we'll go up the slope, and that's going to take us literally, the beach is the other side of an embankment here, and we're going to walk down to St Peter-Ording itself. I'll explain more about the difference between St Peter and Ording and how it became one, but I'll do that when we get down there, because you've probably seen enough of me stood here on this pitch. You can cycle, there's an excellent cycle route. You can walk like we are, you can drive down, or you can get this bus. It's going to be about 1.8 miles to where we're going to be going, right bang into the town centre of St Peter-Ording. What we'll do, we'll head off on foot, we'll stop and have a look at the beach, and then we'll get down there. So come on, let's go. We left the site, which is literally just there, and we've come to the roundabout and come up this ramp. When you get on the top here, this is almost like the top deck, and this is where we're going to walk that way to St Peter-Ording itself, the main centre. When you get up here, if you're coming just to go to the beach for the day, you literally want to be heading over there. That is where you're going to walk through. You can go through as a pedestrian. They'll check your guest card that I showed you on the pitch, and it'll give you access to there. And this beach, I believe it's 12 kilometres of absolute white sand. There's various little toilets and cafes on the beach. You can come and park. So if you're not stopping at this campsite, you can either park here in this car park, or you can drive onto the beach. You might see a couple of cars and vans going down there now. If you want to park on the beach, it's €15. If you are stopping at the campsite and you've already got your guest pass, you don't have to pay your €4 again per person, if that makes sense, but you will have to park. So you can go on there with your motorhome. Jules and I will be going onto the beach, not right now though, because we're just obviously getting this done today and powering that way, so that'll be something we'll do. So we will get you some footage of the amazing white sand. Now the sea is quite far out, as you can see. You could have up to 1 kilometre's walk to get to the water, so just bear that in mind depending on how much you feel like walking. But yeah, so this is part of the sort of national park bit. If you're wanting to cycle into the town, you basically from here, you want to drop off down here, down this ramp, and then the cycle track is marked with a bicycle. So follow the bicycles. If you want to walk like we are, follow the little pedestrian people. So we're going to carry on walking. If we see something of interest on the walk, we'll stop and get some footage for you. If not, we're going to power on 1.8 miles. If I don't get knocked over in the meantime, and see you at St Peter-Ording town centre, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that place and how it all came to be. Right, come on. Oh, and don't be fooled, it might be the end of May and we've had amazing weather at home, but here it's absolutely freezing. People have got scarves on, bobble hats. I'm tough, I'm from Yorkshire, I've just got a body warmer on and my hands in my pockets. Right, come on, let's go. We made it. It was a nice steady walk. It is accessible as well all the way. You can cycle and walk on there. We've literally come from right behind me there. That is the path we've come along. There was a couple of routes, but this is sort of on the main frontage, and you'll come out onto this huge promenade area. You can see how it's all open here. There's no vehicles here. You're allowed on your bike. And obviously on foot. Now when you arrive at this promenade part, you'll know you've got the right place because there's what looks like a giant lobster restaurant. So just there. Now from here you've got a couple of options. You can go off down the wooden pier, which goes quite a long way out. Now I'm not sure if you need your guest card again for the €4 fee. If you show that there, I think that should get you access onto there. And you can walk all the way out, and there's another restaurant at the end. I'm not going to go and walk all that way because I've just done a couple of miles as it is and I've got to walk back. From here, if you want to go into the town centre, which is where Jules and I are going to go next, literally where it says Strandgut Resort, it's my best German pronunciation there. If you go down there and you can go on your bike, that's going to take us into the town. So we're going to go up there, and then I think we're going to do a right-hand turn, and that's where we're going to find different shops and cafes. So Jules and I are just going to have a potter there, so we'll get some footage of that. If you want to carry on, then the cycle and walking trail does carry on down that way into sort of like the nature reserve part. I don't know how far it goes. I'm guessing it's just going to go and go. So you can also go further on your bike. But for now, we're going to head into St Peter-Ording itself. Now I said I'd explain a little bit more about it. So St Peter was originally a part, and then where we're staying at Ording was its own part. In 1867 they joined parishes, and then in 1967 they merged names and it became St Peter-Ording. So that was sort of the history behind that. The first hotel opened here in the late 1800s, and this area is a massive seaside resort in Germany. It's not quite like our seaside resorts of Bridlington and Scarborough. I've not seen any donkeys and I haven't seen any candy floss yet. I think it's a little bit more upmarket than that. But it is absolutely stunning, this area. It's very laid back and casual. There's people out on their bikes, there's people walking, so there's plenty to do outdoors. In terms of the infrastructure here, this isn't reliant on anything like fishing or harbours, because from what I gather, due to the sand going out and in, that isn't possible here. And apparently the parishioners back in the 1800s had to dig their way into their church due to the sand movement. So yeah, obviously it's pretty windy here at times. So let us now venture up into the town. We'll have a wander around, I'll get some footage for you, and then Jules and I will probably get something to eat and drink, because that's what we do, and then walk back to the site. So come on, let's venture into town over that way. If I'm wrong, you'll find your own way, I'm sure. Come on. That was St Peter-Ording, and then we've walked back and we're back where we started. That was a really nice place, spotlessly clean, brilliant little shops, loads of clothes shops, pizza places, restaurants, ice cream. Oh, I was in my element. But we only had a brief tour around, Jules and I, and then we've headed back to the campsite because we've got plenty to do on this trip. If you're coming, take your time. But yeah, so this is the northwest of Germany. Obviously I'll put links so you can check it out yourself. If you're heading north, then yeah, definitely use this as a stopover. That's what we're doing. It's turned into an absolute blinder. There's loads more to see here. They've got thermal springs and all sorts of things going on, and if you like the outdoors, there's loads to do. That's the campsite we've been staying at. That's Campingplatz Biehl. Again, I'll put a link to that. I would recommend it, yeah, definitely. I know we've only been there a short time, but so far so good. Food on site, beach literally across the sand dunes. You couldn't really get much nearer, to be fair, and an ideal base for going out exploring. And literally 1 mile up the road is the supermarket that Jules and I stopped at on the way in yesterday. So supermarkets on your doorstep as well. Oh, right, so there we go. We've dashed up and dashed down, and we're going to go chill out for a bit, and our next stop will take us to Denmark. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.